Hello there, dear viewer. Today I'm going to be talking about the great movies that I've been watching on 4K in the last month or so, and some of these are fantastic releases that I want to share with you. We have a bit of a mixed bag here in terms of the types of films, so I'm going to start with one that I know has had many people excited. It is Lethal Weapon. This is the original film that would go on to spawn a number of sequels, starring Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and it is a buddy cop movie, a film that kind of invented the buddy cop genre, or definitely evolved it into what would be replicated in the decades after this. It has great action scenes directed by Richard Donner. It has a brilliant script which is funny and intelligent, written by Shane Black. And I love these two central performances of these two characters who are both very different. Danny Glover's character is very much the older cop. He's looking to move on and spend time with his family, whereas Mel Gibson, he is the younger guy, but he is a loose cannon, has a bit of a death wish. So these two together, they have to work to bring the bad guys to justice. I'm not sure why I'm trying to sell you on this film, because I imagine most people have seen this already, but this is the brand new 4K release, and I don't really have much to complain about in terms of how the 4K looks and sounds. I think it looks a lot better than the old Blu-ray did, and I don't think there's too much in the realm of digital manipulation, noise reduction, etc. There is some there, but I think for the majority of people, you're going to be very happy with how this looks. There are also a few versions of this. This is not the standard 4K release. This is the collector's edition, which has a number of things inside, including a steelbook case. And this one was sent to me, so I'll show you what is inside here. You have this plastic slipcover that comes off, and it shows the artwork on this rigid hard case. And interestingly, the only thing that's shiny on here are the eyes of the two characters. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Inside, the steelbook looks like this, and you get the 4K disc and the Blu-ray inside. You also get this envelope, and inside here there is a poster and some art cards, which I'm not going to pull them all out and show you, but you can see them online. Overall, it's a very enjoyable film, and I'm happy with how the 4K looks and sounds. And I do wonder if they're going to be doing any of the sequels on 4K anytime soon. Sticking with Shane Black, we have one of the films that he wrote and directed. It's The Nice Guys, and this is the 4K limited edition from Second Sight Films. This film did get a recent 4K release in the United States, but this version is different because this is approved by Shane Black. This version has Dolby Vision HDR as approved by the director, and of course you get the usual Second Sight things in the booklet and on the discs. All of the great extras that we've come to love from Second Sight. If you haven't seen The Nice Guys, it is a very funny film. Not a buddy cop film, but it does have that kind of Lethal Weapon buddy thing where Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe are thrown together as they have to get to the bottom of this mysterious crime in LA. And I think this film is one of a kind. It's so good to get a film like this in recent times that is not part of a franchise. Although saying that it's not part of a franchise, I would actually appreciate a Nice Guys 2. If they could ever get that made, that would be brilliant. As is the norm with Second Sight's 4Ks, you can get this limited edition, but you can also get a standard 4K version as well. But inside the rigid hard case, you get the usual art cards, which, I'm not a fan of, but someone has to be for them to keep doing this. You get this digipack with the 4K disc and the Blu-ray, and you get this hardback book, which has a number of great essays about the film. And Second Sight do these so well. So that's what you get inside the box. And there's a ton of great special features on the discs as well. The film itself doesn't actually look that much different to the other 4K disc that I got from America of the film. So I suppose if you're looking for some massive upgrade of that 4K release, which only came out at the start of this year, I think, you're probably not going to find that. However, if you don't have that US disc, then just get this. It looks and sounds great. Sticking with Second Sight Films, we have their 4K release of Talk to Me. This is the Australian horror movie directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. This is a horror film that got a lot of buzz when it was first released because this brought a real breath of fresh air to the horror genre which often can be very bloated with a ton of derivative, boring horror movies. And thanks to the success of this film, the brothers have gone on to make another film which just came out recently, which I've not seen, and I believe they're developing a follow-up to this as well. The story follows this group of teenagers who are hanging out, they're partying, and some of them bring this mysterious object. It looks like this weird hand, and when someone holds this hand and says these certain words, they are possessed by some kind of spirit or ghost. And as one of the kids is being possessed by this spirit, the others can all interact and talk with it. However, you have to be careful that you don't go on longer than 90 seconds, because if you do, bad things start to happen. It's a great horror premise, but of course there is lots of thematic depth here in terms of family dynamics and one's own position in life and what one should be going for. Should you be trying to fit in with the crowd or do your own thing? So yeah, really great stuff. And the film does end on like a bit of a cliffhanger of sorts. So I'd like to see where they go next with this film, and where the follow-up would not just be like a rehashing of this. They'd have to do something new with it, I think, to kind of grip me. As always, Second Sight, they do a great limited edition with the rigid hard box, which looks like this. You've got art cards, as always. You've got the digipack with the 4K disc and the Blu-ray. And then there is an included book. This one is paperback, not hardback, like The Nice Guys. But it's got a bunch of great essays on the film. So that's Talk to Me from Second Sight. I know this has other 4K releases out there. It even has one that is still on shelves in the UK. But I can't compare the presentation of that to this because I don't have those other discs. But this looked great to me, and I was very happy with this release. Next we have the film Black Bag. This is Steven Soderbergh's very recent spy kind of espionage thriller about this married couple who are both spies, and the husband, played by Michael Fassbender, comes to suspect that his wife, played by Cate Blanchett, is acting against the interest of the country, so he has to get to the bottom of this. And this obviously brings his marriage into focus, and there are questions around, you know, can they get through this? It's a film that has great dialogue, and the film is very dialogue driven. There's lots of people talking, sitting around, which is not to say it's a bad thing, but this is definitely no action film. Don't go in expecting, you know, big action sequences, but it's very smart. It looks excellent. It has a very distinct visual style. Soderbergh loves experimenting with lighting, and here you see that, you know, in full focus here. It has a very unique look. So yeah, I thought this was fantastic. I love Steven Soderbergh. I've said before, he's a bit of a scientist when it comes to film because he's constantly experimenting. He makes so many films, and in fact he has released 2 films in cinemas this year, this being one of them. The 4K looked and sounded brilliant, and there are some good special features on here on the making of the film. The next film I want to talk about is The Way of the Gun. This is from the year 2000, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, starring Benicio del Toro and Ryan Felipe. This is a kidnap movie where these 2 guys decide that they want to, you know, do a big job and make a load of money quick. So they decide to kidnap this pregnant woman who is a surrogate mother for this wealthy couple who obviously can't have their own child. So they go about this kidnapping, but they are tailed by all sorts of people who want to get this pregnant woman back in the hands of this wealthy family. It's a film that feels very late 90s, early 2000s, mostly in a good way, sometimes in a not so good way. And it's a film that I think does sort of run out of steam at times, and at 2 hours long I feel like some aspects here could be shaved down a bit. But it's a fun time. I really like these characters, and the action sequences, some of the shootouts are excellent. It looks very good indeed to me. I think they've gone back to the original camera negative. So it's a great presentation of a film that otherwise I couldn't get in this country. So I'm very happy that Lionsgate have released this on 4K. Now for a bit of a big one, if you ask me. This is a film that for a long time has been maligned, I think unfairly. And the film I'm talking about is Kingdom of Heaven. This is Ridley Scott's crusade movie starring Orlando Bloom, and this film presents the director's cut in 4K. This is one of those prime examples where the director's cut of the film is so much better than what was shown theatrically. The director's cut is much longer, it's over 3 hours, but it really does pack in so much character development which was cut out of the original theatrical version. I think it looks great and sounds great on the 4K, and in my opinion, this film, the director's cut, is one of Ridley Scott's best films. And he has a filmography which is very varied and often inconsistent in terms of quality, if you ask me. But his highs are real highs, but his lows are also quite low. With the 4K you get the older Blu-rays which carry over all of the special features, and there is a lot to get into here. So a fantastic release which you can also get on a standard edition version. I was sent this steelbook, but you can get a standard version, at least in the UK. I don't know if in America you can get the standard one. But anyway, a great 4K release. Next I have a 4K release of Darling. This is the John Schlesinger movie starring the one and only Julie Christie. It also stars Lawrence Harvey and Dirk Bogarde, who are both great, but she is the centre of this movie. She is Darling. I've talked about this movie on the channel before and how I kind of go back and forth on whether I really like it or I really don't like it, because some of the things about this central character really don't sit right with me, and I don't want to spoil the contents of the film, but I'm not sure she's an entirely completely likeable character throughout the film. I do think it's very provocative though, and this is from a filmmaker, John Schlesinger, who made many provocative movies, and I think he directs this very well. It also has a screenplay from Frederick Raphael, who made a number of films at this period and also would go on to work with Stanley Kubrick on Eyes Wide Shut. And there is a great interview on here in the special features with him. There is an introduction by Sofia Coppola as well, and the film looks great on this 4K disc. It really does with HDR. It looks beautiful, great black and white presentation. So yes, I go back and forth on whether I like the film. I think after this rewatch, I am more on the liking than not liking. But as a key film in British cinema at the time, this is one I always will have to own. And it looks great on this. I'm not too keen on the artwork that Studio Canal have chosen for this release, but I mean, that's not a big deal. I just would have gone with something that is more in line with the iconic poster for the film. Sticking with Studio Canal, I have another 4K release from them. This is the film Subway. This is one of Luc Besson's early movies, starring Christopher Lambert and Isabelle Adjani. We follow this thief who, after performing this job, he's on the run and he hides out in this subway station, and he literally lives underground with some of the weird characters who live there. It's a very quirky film and I really enjoy it a lot. It has great 80s style. It feels very 80s, very French 80s, but I love it for that. It also looks and sounds fantastic on the 4K disc. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of this film or Luc Besson in general. And this release does come with a load of new special features on the Blu-ray. So this one gets my highest recommendation if you're a fan of this film or you just want to watch a fun French film from the 80s. And then we come to a film which I know is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. That is because it is from the director, very divisive director, Paul W.S. Anderson. It's his latest In the Lost Lands, starring his wife, Mila Jovovich, and Dave Bautista. This one is an adaptation of an early science fiction short story from George R.R. Martin, who of course created Game of Thrones. Dave Bautista plays this mysterious gunslinger, whereas Mila Jovovich plays this sorceress who has these magical powers. And there's a lot of great action here, but I will make the caveat that you have to kind of like this style of filmmaking. If you really enjoy those later Resident Evil movies, then this could be your kind of thing. I used to really not like the films of Paul W.S. Anderson, but then years and years ago, there was this kind of reappraisal of his works when people were talking about vulgar auteurism. and people would talk about Michael Bay, Paul W.S. Anderson, people like that, and kind of reappraise their work, because these filmmakers are making their own vision within a bigger system. And when we stop measuring these films based on the critical standards that we are sort of told that we should assess films by, then you actually see that these films are very original, and you can't mistake a Paul W.S. Anderson film for any other filmmaker, if you ask me. So yeah, I'm not here to change your mind on this filmmaker or these films, but if you are interested, do look up the whole vulgar auteurism thing that happened about 10 years ago. There are some great essays that were written on the topic, and I find it fascinating. So I have a real soft spot for the filmmaker, and this is another great addition. And I think we'll end it there. That was a big stack of 4K releases that I have been enjoying over the past few weeks, and there is so much good stuff. I'm missing out on so much, and you know, even though I'm watching all these films, which would be a lot to any normal person, there's still so much out there. So yeah, I'm probably never going to catch up, but it's a good thing to be in this situation. Click the video that's on screen right now if you want more reviews, recommendations from me. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.